Members, the second extraordinary session is recessed under call of the Speaker. Members, we are moving to business on the daily file. Second reading. The clerk will read.
Senate Bill 249, 327, 637 with amendments, 27 with amendments, 36, 4 with amendments, and 145 with amendments.
All right, members, swear on the concurrence file. We're going to pass and retain on file item number 8. We're moving to file item number 9. That is AB, pardon me, yes, file item number 9, AB 30. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 30 by Assemblymember Alejo and others, enact relating to schools.
Mr. Alejo, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 30, the California Racial Mascots Act, is back for concurrence with technical and clarifying amendments being taken in the Senate. AB 30 will phase out the use of the derogatory racial slur, the R word, as a school name, mascot, or nickname. The measure is part of a national movement to get rid of the use of the R word, which started almost 50 years ago by the National Congress of American Indians. And it's only proper that California do so because California is a state with the largest Native American population. For far too long, we have allowed stereotypes and derogatory terms to become normalized to our younger generations. And allowing hurtful stereotypes to be promoted and normalized is damaging to Native American heritage and certainly to Native youth. I carried this bill after meeting a young, remarkable Native American young leader, 16-year-old, who I met outside this Capitol last September, Dakota Kicking Bear Brown, who was gathering signatures asking the public to support phasing out the use of Native American mascots. And I promised him that day that we would work on this bill together to make this a reality in California. And let me remind you that the R word was once used to describe Native American scalps sold for bounty at a time when our state condoned the killing of Native peoples. Such terms have no business being used as a mascot in our public schools or otherwise. And last year, this legislature approved with bipartisan support my ACR 168 to urge the Washington NFL football team to also change its mascot. This year, AB 30 has received strong bipartisan support in both the Senate Education Committee and on the Senate floor, and it is time for we as a state to do what is right and phase out these mascots in our public schools, just like other schools have done already. The remaining schools will be able to build school pride around a new mascot, just like others have already done. Native Americans, members, are people. They are not mascots. And lastly, I want to recognize the hard work of former Assemblymember Jackie Goldberg, who last carried this bill 10 years ago. And I picked up where she left off. But it's time to have this bill signed into law, and California to be the first to enact such legislation through a bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote on this important measure.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. Mr. Harper, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise in recognition of the point that this is a discussion that should be had at the school board level. The folks who should have a final say in terms of a mascot should be our local elected officials, and we should show them that respect, and I urge a no vote.
Seeing no additional discussion on the item, Mr. Alejo, you may close.
Just in response to my colleague who wears many hats, other state boards of education have enacted similar policy, including the state of Washington. But when the state provides over half our state budget to our public schools, we as state legislators certainly have a say in making sure that we're not creating a hostile environment for Native American youth. This is the right thing to do, and this is the year to do it. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Alejo. With that, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 54, noes 8. The Senate amendments are concurred in. File item number 10, we are going to pass temporarily. File item 11, we are going to take up file item 11. That's AB 990. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 990 by Assemblymember Bonilla and others, an act relating to the Political Reform Act of 1974, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Ms. Bonilla, you may open.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker and members. This does require 54 votes, so I do hope that you'll be paying attention. I think you all know as candidates, one of the most important relationships we have is the one that we develop with the voters. We spend often years cultivating those relationships and building trust. We put our reputation and our character on the line when we're running for public office. What we have found is with the increasing amount of outside money and independent expenditures, that many things are attributed to the candidate that are actually being funded by an independent expenditure. Currently, the disclosure that's required on mail is so tiny that you can hardly read it. I was so disturbed in my last election when I actually had close friends of mine come up to me and say, "How could you have sent such a horrible piece of mail against your opponent?" And I said, "I didn't send it." And they're like, "Well, it looks like it came from you." And I'd say, "Well, look at the return address or try to find who sent it." But people really have a difficult time. What this bill will do is it will change that. It will put a much larger, bold disclosure on the mail, right under the mailing address to your constituent. And it will say, this advertisement was not authorized or paid for by a candidate or the office of a candidate for this or by a committee controlled by a candidate for this office. It has to be in 14-point font, bold text. The statement is in a box and in a contrasting color. I really believe that as we see more and more of our voters feeling disenfranchised, as we see that they are actually not even bothering to vote, are becoming increasingly frustrated because they can't sort out all these confusing messages, that this is going to help our relationship with them and the voters take control and understand where the mail, where the message is truly coming from. There was a recent election last November in Los Angeles where one home received 200 pieces of mail. That's just a phenomenal, overwhelming amount of mail. And we just see this is going to be increasing. It's not decreasing. And so my hope is that you'll join me, all of you Republicans and Democrats, as candidates to help our voters understand what our message is and that these other messages are from outside sources. I'm pleased to say that I've had bipartisan support in the Senate. We had 6 Republican senators vote for this bill. And I'll tell you, you can probably look at the races they had, and if you've kind of been the victim of this overwhelming expenditure of money, you're very likely to enthusiastically support this effort. With that, I would ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion on this item, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Say 2/3 vote, members. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 55, noes 5 on the urgency. Ayes 55, noes 5 on the measure. Senate amendments are concurred in. We're going to pass temporarily on file item number 12. Moving to file item number 13, that's AB 1060. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 1060 by Assemblymember Bonilla, an act relating to cancer.
Ms. Bonilla, you may again open.
I'm on a roll, so I hope this goes well. Also, thank you, Mr. Speakers and members. AB 1060 is here for concurrence in Senate amendments. It establishes the Cancer Clinical Trials Foundation to increase access to cancer clinical trials for all patients. Right now, currently less than 1% of eligible cancer patients participate in clinical trials in the state of California. We have found that our underrepresented communities are even less likely to participate, and we believe this foundation is going to help connect our cancer patients with necessary clinical trials. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Bonilla. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 62, noes 4. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are going to pass temporarily on file item number 14. Pass and retain on file item 18. We're moving to file item 16, AB 141. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 141 by Assemblymember Bonilla, enact relating to teacher credentialing.
Ms. Bonilla.
I am presenting now AB 141, again for concurrence in Senate amendments. The Senate amendments remove ties to federal Title II funding and narrow the bill to align with recommendations made by the Teacher Credentialing Commission. This is the bill that says that brand new teachers shouldn't be responsible to pay for their own new teacher training. I ask for your aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 54, noes 9. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 17 is AB 177. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 177 by Assemblymember Bonilla and others, enact relating to professions and vocations, making appropriation therefore.
Ms. Bonilla, you may open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. AB 177 is back for concurrence, which is a sunset extension bill for the Board of Professional Engineers, Land Surveyors, and Geologists, the Architects Board, and Landscape Architects Technical Committee. The Senate amendments allow the Architects Board to let students enrolled in an additional path to architectural licensing program take the national examination early and it makes other technical and clarifying amendments. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Bonilla. Seeing no discussion or debate on this item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 69, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 18 is AB 180. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 180 by Assemblymember Bonilla and others, enact relating to professions and vocations, making appropriation therefore.
Ms. Bonilla, you may open.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. AB 180 is also back for concurrence. The amendments taken in the Senate merge the funeral directors and embalmers law and the cemetery law into the Cemetery and Funeral Act, and they merge the separate funds into the renamed Cemetery and Funeral Fund to increase the fiscal solvency of the board. Thank you very much, of the fund. Thank you, and I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Bonilla. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 67, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are going to pass temporarily on file item 19. File item 20, AB 288. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 288 by Assemblymember Holden and others, enact relating to public schools.
Mr. Holden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senate Assembly Bill 288 is back from the Senate with amendments making clarifying changes to reduce general fund costs. Let me just tell you that this is a very important bill because it does create and expand pathways for our high school students to look at taking college courses while they're in high school, create an opportunity for vocational opportunities, education to be presented to them. This is a game changer for our young people. I ask for your aye vote in Senate amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Holden. Ms. Olson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I, too, rise as the joint author of AB 288 to urge its passage. We've been working on this for 2 years, and we're really excited that we've gotten it to this point. It's a game changer for our kids, as Assemblymember Holden said. Urge and aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. With that, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 71, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 21, AB 388. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 388 by Assemblymember Chang and others, enact relating to housing.
Ms. Chang, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So my bill is fabulous, like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no discussion or debate on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 67, no, 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. We are going back to Madam Speaker's items. Back in the file, members, to file item 14. That's AB 795. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 795 by Assemblymember Atkins and others, enact relating to tribal gaming, declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Madam Speaker, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am honored to carry this bill that will ratify the Tribal State Gaming Compact between the state and the Sequan Band of Kumeyaay Nation, which was just concluded by the governor and the tribe on September 2nd. This is the fourth tribal gaming compact negotiated by the governor this year that, pursuant to the state constitution, now requires ratification by the legislature. As with other gaming compacts, there are important provisions affecting the tribe and the state that should be noted. From the tribe's perspective, the compact fulfills the purpose of this public policy by providing a legal basis for the operation of gaming as a means of promoting tribal economic development and self-sufficiency. This is primarily accomplished by increasing the number of slot machines the tribe may operate and extending the tribe's current compact until the year 2040. The compact additionally requires payments into two existing funds used to provide financial support to non-gaming and limited gaming tribes, and requires the tribe to pay its share of state regulatory and problem gambling costs. From the state's perspective, this compact includes increased regulatory, consumer, and environmental protections, and it allows the tribe to offset its payments to the state as credits that could be used for local projects such as healthcare facilities, renewable energy, and water conservation projects, and other services such as law enforcement and fire protection needed to mitigate any casino impacts. So on behalf of Sequan and the tribal government and its 220 tribal members, it's thousands of employees, 2,800 to be exact, and the San Diego region, I would respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. Jones, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. I rise in support of AB 795. Sequan's sovereign tribal lands are located entirely in the 71st Assembly District. The tribal council, the tribal members are all good neighbors of the 71st Assembly District. They do a lot of great works outside of their reservation within the community of El Cajon, Santee, Lakeside, East County of San Diego, and other parts of the state, and I encourage your aye vote on this important bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Seeing no additional comment, the clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 72, no, 0 on the urgency. Ayes 72, no, 0 on the measure. Senate amendments are concurred in. Now, members, we are moving to file item 19. That is AB 226. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 226 by Assemblymember Atkins and others, enact relating to food safety.
Madam Speaker, you may again open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. AB 226 establishes the framework for a fisherman's market as a type of non-permanent food facility. The bill will allow California fishermen to organize and sell their wares in ways similar to popular and well-established farmers' markets. Amendments in the Senate clarified that a fisherman's market may be run by an entity representing two or more California licensed commercial fishermen or California registered aquaculturists. Additional amendments were also taken to deal with chaptering out language. This bill has received almost unanimous support throughout the legislative process, and I ask for your support on concurrence in the Senate amendments.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Seeing no discussion or debate on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 70, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we are moving to file item number 22. That's AB 438. The clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 438 by Assemblymember Chu and others, enacted into state government.
Mr. David Chu, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, this item is back on concurrence. The Senate amendments are a result of working closely with the Department of Industrial Relations to ensure that all California workers are able to access workers' compensation. This bill will require that the department will translate forms and fact sheets into Chinese, Korean, Tagalog, and Vietnamese the first time these documents are available in those languages. And with that, I respectfully urge and ask for your aye vote on concurrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chu. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 66, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. Moving to file item 23, that's AB 485. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 485 by Assemblymember Williams and others, enacted into taxation.
Mr. Williams, you may open.
Members, this bill would establish the Prevention of Animal Homelessness and Cruelty Fund and checkoff box for voluntary contributions on California tax returns. Senate amendments allow the Department of Food and Agriculture to consult with the Department of Public Health to develop the grant process in the bill and allow the Department of Food and Ag to use up to 5% of the funds collected to create public awareness about the checkoff. I ask for your aye vote in concurrence.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 72, no 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 24, AB 504. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 504 by Assemblymember Gonzalez, enacted into land use.
Ms. Gonzalez, you may open.
Good morning, Mr. Speaker and members. Assembly Bill 504 is back on concurrence. It's a local bill. Senate amendments narrow the scope of this bill. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. The clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 44, noes 26. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 25, AB 522. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 522 by Assemblymember Burke and others, enacted in public contracts.
Ms. Burke, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Assembly Bill 522 is back from the Senate on concurrence. The bill has received bipartisan support, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 69, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 26, AB 545. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 545 by Assemblymember Melendez, enacted into domestic violence.
Ms. Melendez.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 545 is back on concurrence with chaptering amendments, and I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Ms. Melendez. Seeing no discussion or debate on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 70, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 27, AB 552. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 552 by Assemblymember O'Donnell, enacted into public contracts.
Mr. O'Donnell, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. AB 552 provides greater certainty in damages arising from certain breaches of public works contracts. Amendments in the Senate narrowed the scope of the bill to damages resulting from delays and clarified the rights of agencies to recover other types of damages. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll, tally the vote. Ayes 70, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. File item 28, AB 617. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 617 by Assemblymember Perea, enact relating to water.
Mr. Perea, you may open.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 617 is back for concurrence. This bill will ensure locals have the necessary tools to successfully manage and meet the goals of the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. Senate amendments remove all opposition. The bill has received bipartisan support. I respectfully ask for concurrence.
Thank you, Mr. Perea. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 71, noes 0. Senate amendments are concurred in. That's right. We're going to pass temporarily on file item 29. Moving to file item 30. That is AB 692 by Mr. Quirk. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 692 by Assemblymember Quirk, enact relating to greenhouse gases.
Mr. Quirk.
Thank you, Speaker and members. I rise to present AB 692, which is back in concurrence. Senate amendments taken on September 1 removed all opposition. The analysis you have there is incorrect. Caltex has removed their opposition. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Quirk. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 46, noes 23. Senate amendments are concurred in. Members, we are going back to file item 29. That's AB 621. Clerk will read.
Assembly Bill 621 by Assemblymember Roger Hernandez, enact relating to employment.
Mr. Hernandez.
Mr. Speaker and members, AB 621 is back on concurrence and Senate amendments. Under 621, port drayage companies will be provided an opportunity to voluntarily come forward to participate in a limited amnesty program by entering into a settlement agreement with the Labor Commissioner. Senate amendments spell out the details of the settlement agreement program and provide clarifying language developed in consultation with the Division of Labor Standards Enforcement and Employment Development Department. This bill is supported by port trucking companies and labor. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Seeing no discussion on the item, clerk will open the roll. All members vote who desire to vote. 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 Clerk will close the roll. Tally the vote. Ayes 41, noes 26. Senate amendments